Hey, Trail Kreitzer at goHUNT. Today I have an awesome opportunity. We're up here at BHA event in Missoula. We decided to buzz down to Bozeman, check out the new Sitka headquarters. I got John Barklow with me, which is an awesome opportunity to sit down with you. We spent about an hour just shooting the shit here, and super cool opportunity. But we wanted to have him run through some of the new equipment from Sitka this year.
Yeah, so the big launch for Sitka in general is something called Aerolite. And what Aerolite is an insulation from Primaloft. So the actual insulation from Primaloft is called Primaloft Gold with cross-core technology.
Okay.
So that's the actual insulation package. We're branding it as Aerolite for all the new products that have that insulation. And really what it is it's a synthetic insulation that's got aerogel infused. So if you could imagine,
Aerogel?
Yep, so if you can imagine a
NASA,
fiber, it did, everything did, right? That makes it sound cool. But if you have a fiber of synthetic insulation, what Primaloft did is put these little balls of air, so that's called the aerogel, on those fibers. So what does that do? So air is the greatest insulator that we have. That's why we inflate inflatable ground pads, and the more air we have, the warmer that pad.
Right.
So what they've been able to do is not just have fibers that trap dead air to keep you warm, but they have these little balls of aerogel that add insulation, and then they resist compression. So interestingly enough, the charter that Primaloft had when they started was the United States military went and asked them, they said, hey, can you mimic in synthetic insulation the R value of 650 fill down? And that was for a bunch of different reasons. With Primaloft Gold, with cross-core technology, they've been able to do that. So we've been able to take in our testing and look at 650 fill down, and although they're measured a little different, we can take an equivalent value of this synthetic aerogel and 650 fill down, but you would get it in a package that is more sustainable, that manages moisture exceptionally well, but is still lightweight and compressible. So we're really excited. We've got a bunch of products coming out over the course of probably the next 6 months that are going to feature this new updated insulation package.
It's not a down then. It's a synthetic.
It's a synthetic.
Purely synthetic.
Purely synthetic. And where we're really seeing the value is in what's called wet clo.
Yeah.
So it's how warm does it keep you when it's wet. So if the insulation package were to become wet for whatever reason, rain or you fall in a river, whatever the case may be, where down and treated down can lose loft. This specifically, because of the aerogel, the wet clo is literally off the chart. So if I'm going on a float hunt, if I'm going Pacific Northwest, if I'm going coastal Alaska, this is the insulation package that I'm going to want to have.
Okay, very good. Alaska, prime example, huh?
Prime example.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll be taking that on my caribou hunt for sure this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I hope, right? If I could just tuck some in my back pocket.
Yeah. Well, it'll be available. No. It'll be coming out here pretty quick.
Now, I have a friend that likes to. He hunts Alaska a lot. He likes his famous saying is, "It's not whether you're wet or dry in Alaska. It's whether you're warm or cold, because you're always wet."
Yeah, and I think people, depending on where you come from, and we were talking about people hunting a lot of different geographic locations. That sometimes it's not a one size fits all, right? So if I live where you guys live in kind of that desert Southwest area, down is absolutely
great.
That's what I'm going to use, right? If I'm living up in Alaska, I'm probably not going to default to down all the time. I'm probably going to default to synthetic, and I'll be able to mix in some down depending on the location. And then if you live where we're living here in Montana, kind of the Rocky Mountains, depending on the seasonality, I can choose one or the other. If somebody's looking to just buy one and kind of commit to one, then I would say your best bet is to just choose synthetic, because it has, I like to say, the broadest use profile, especially if you're new to this and you're not quite sure that you can keep your stuff dry, or if it gets dry or wet, can you dry it out? So
maybe
there's a lot of pros and cons. I think there's a lot more versatility. There's pros and cons to everything, but we're really excited about this. I've been able to, as an example, we have the Kelvin Aerolite Jacket here, and that's replacing the Kelvin Light Hoodie. I was able to drop 1 ounce out of it, keep the insulation weight the same, but the wet and dry clo value, and don't quote me on this, but I'm generally close. It's 30-ish% more warm when dry and almost 90% more when wet. Wow. So the insulation, the performance of the insulation is through the roof in a synthetic package. So really brought some performance, you know, to something that, you know, at first pass doesn't all, you know, look all that sexy or performance oriented, but it really is.
It's all internal, right?
It's all internal, right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't necessarily see the gains, I guess, externally. I'm trying to think of come up with a word, but you don't see the technology necessarily. If you're just looking at the exterior, it's in the details, which...
Yeah, it's in the performance metrics, right? Like you're going to see it when you're using it. You know, you're not going to see it, you know, necessarily hanging on the shelf. And I think that's important to talk about that technology in that way.
And that's always been the thing about Sitka gear that I've appreciated is, and you see it even just walking around, you know, do you call it a campus at this point? It looks like a campus. I was telling these guys.
I haven't.
But I'm like, it looks like a campus at this point. I feel like I'm at an institution at this point. You get a chance to walk around, but you see it everywhere. I mean, it's details. You guys have, even in the bathrooms, the beams, the tile work. I mean, it's just details. And like, I got a chance to use the jacket this fall, which was phenomenal, by the way. I loved it. But I didn't know those details, you know, the 90% gain when dry or wet? When
wet, yeah. And you know, so the interesting thing with me is although I appreciate lab data, I never trust it. Yeah. So I always want to go and try it myself. Mm-hmm. So, you know, although I can't tell you exactly the percentage of warmth increase, but you know, I got an Aerolite jacket. I completely saturated as much as I could. And that was the jacket I wore, you know, out on a fairly cold, blustery day, and I had no issues. Now, I've got decades and decades of experience of kind of like you said, you know, what did you say, being wet and dry, or being wet and warm, or whatever it is,
it doesn't matter if you're wet or dry.
Yeah, but you know, but it works,
sure.
and it dries out. So it's not just the lab data; it's the in-field kind of experience. Because I don't want to have to sit there and, you know, tell a consumer it works if I haven't actually tried it in worst case scenario. So we're really excited about it. Like I said, it's going to roll out in. It's going to start, I think, in June. Well, it will start in June, and then it'll be progressively like every month. I think there's going to be some new products dropping.
I know we should have shipments receiving.
Yeah.
goHUNT Gear Shop should be able to get yours. We appreciate you taking a few minutes, and you're going to do some other videos with us here in a sec. But yeah, thanks for giving us a run through.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yeah.